What's up, everybody? So I've been looking at the comments for review videos and it came up the Axys Valhalla quite a few times. So I decided to order one and I just got it in the mail today. So I'm really pumped about this machine. A lot of you have been asking about doing a review on this machine and checking it out. So I decided it would be the perfect one to do next. If you're new to this channel and want to keep up to date on not only review videos like this, but any other tattooing content we make each week, make sure you like and subscribe down below and hit the little bell notification so you can keep up to date on all of the new content. So let's get into the Axys Valhalla. Okay, so I not only got the machine, but I also got some disposable grips. This is super important when it comes to tattooing. If you are tattooing on people, that you need these unless you have an autoclave. So I wanted to touch base with that first. Second, we'll get some gloves on since we are going to be touching these things. Awesome. So we'll open this up and check it out. So inside the box, you'll get some directions, I believe this is. Let's see here. The Valhalla is designed to push cartridges, not to run empty. Do not leave the machine running without a cartridge installed. And it says important very clearly on this piece of paper. So do not run this machine without a cartridge, which is different. I do that all the time with my Cheyenne. So yeah, don't allow fluids to enter machine. Yeah, by spraying it, that's normal. Never operate without O-rings. That's obvious. Voltage is 7 volts to 10 volts, so it will not go super low. So if you're doing things like some really soft light shades or even stipple shading, you're gonna have an issue with this machine. And it does say, you know, lower voltage, softer hit, fewer punctures per second, higher voltage, harder hit, and more punctures per second, which is obviously, if you've been watching my videos, we've gone over that plenty of times. The Valhalla has 5 different strokes starting from 2.5 millimeter, which is honestly probably the lowest I've ever used in my life will be today, because I've never used a 2.5 millimeter stroke. And also has a 2.9, 3.4, 3.8, and 4.2. And it says all you do is simply twist the ring to set. Shorter stroke equals softer hit, longer stroke equals harder hit. Okay, rotate the grip. So you change the needle depth by just turning it like all other ones do. Yeah, so basic stuff after that. That was the most important things. Okay, so satisfied, yeah, just a little satisfied card. And let's check out the machine. So here it is. Yeah, just looking at it, it's a lot smaller than what I thought it was going to be. I was expecting it to be way thicker. I'm used to my Cheyenne Soul Nova. So yeah, it's really, really tiny. I really like the color. You know, they have olive. I think they have a pink, a gold, a couple other colors out there that I'll leave a picture right here, so you could check them out. That's the different colors they have. I went with olive just because it's a cool color. It's kind of like my shop's theme too, with Arrowhead. You know, I felt like earthy tones would be cool. So here is the machine. It looks really cool. Changing the stroke, you're supposed to just be able to twist it, and yeah, it twists really easy, very free flowing. So yeah, it should be fairly easy to do. The only thing I would like to check out would be whenever you are mid-tattoo and you want to switch it out and everything's wrapped up, the issue you would have switching it, which it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The other thing of changing your actual needle depth is it doesn't click, so it's more like a Cheyenne Soul Nova. A couple of the other ones that I've used actually like click when you're like getting your depth and everything, so this one does just spin, and it's a little rough to spin as well. So it might be a little bit of an issue if I'm changing that mid-tattoo, going from a liner to a shader. Which they might have done that because you're supposed to shut it off, and you know, making it easy would be like way too easy to just pop one in there and do it that way. So that's possible. So there's the machine. Set that right there so you could take a look at it. And then it came with, yeah, some other, looks like a cam bearing and some O-rings. And these are the disposable grips right here I got with it. Supposedly so you don't have to use an autoclave. You could just throw these away every plunge. You still want to wrap it up your machine completely, but I'm opening this up right here. I've never opened this up before, and any other disposable grip that I've gotten in my entire life has came sterilized in a sterilized container, showing that it went through the process of sterilization. So these aren't. There's nothing keeping these sterile, so you go to tattoo with these and they're not sterile, so what is the point? Which is super annoying because this is like the only one I found, and I was super pumped about them actually having disposable grips so I could do a review on a machine that is made for artists. You know, you want to be becoming a tattoo artist and tattooing for a living, so you need a disposable grip unless you have an autoclave. And it says the real deal for professionals only. But you can't be a professional if this is the disposable grips they give you. And I got these things straight from Axys, right? Axys. Yeah, straight off their website. So it wasn't like a third party or anything. This is straight from them. So these are the disposable grips. Obviously not sterile at all. Honestly, if I'm being 100% with these, they're 3D printed. Like, you could feel the ridges on them from the 3D printer. There's like, if you can see it, there's little plastic pieces in there that are just like floating around, which you don't want to have excess, you know, plastic and everything. You know, if that gets into your ink or into your needle or anything like that, it's going to cause issues. So once again, pen machines are just not made for you to tattoo with unless you have an autoclave, I guess. I mean, my Cheyenne Soul Nova Unlimited has ones that come, you know, sterile, everything. You just put them in your machine and you're good to go. So yeah, super weird. So that's one thing to think about. I ordered these for no reason because I'm obviously not going to use them. Even if they were just packaged up individually and like wrapped up, you know, there's like random dust and stuff at the bottom of this box, and these are just sitting there. So yeah, I'm not going to use these. I guess I'll display this on my back wall because it's a cool box, but at the end of the day, that's all it's going to be, is a cool box. Cool. So after that, kind of discouraging when it comes to the actual disposable grips. I was really pumped about that. But now we get into the actual review. I will use one of these disposable grips to show you if they actually work with the machine, but only on fake skins. Obviously, I'm not going to be tattooing any human beings with any of this stuff. Yeah, obviously, because I use disposables, fully disposable, just so I don't have to worry about an autoclave. So let's get into the review. All right, so this is what we're going to be tattooing for the review today. It's just a little Naruto flash that I had. So before we start, we're going to make sure that we wrap up the Axys Valhalla, making sure, you know, everything's covered before starting. And also what I'm going to be using today is an 11 round liner, a 7 round liner, and 11 curved mag. So that is what we're using. And then colors, my straight black, my 3 drops, red, pink, yellow, and those are solid colors, and that's what I'm using. Okay, so we're going to get our 1-inch bags and slide it over the top. Then we're going to wrap up our bottom with our bandage wrap, right like this. So I'm really used to a way bigger grip, so this is definitely going to be weird for me. This is a really small, tiny pen style machine, but through the bag you can still see the stroke that you want to go on. So let's see if you could, yeah, you can twist it. It's a little awkward, but you could get it done. And then changing the needle depth you could do as well. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to make sure that we put a cartridge in this machine, because you're not supposed to run it without one. That was said a few times inside the box. So put a cartridge in the machine. We're going to change our depth because it's sticking out really, really far right now. Another thing that seems to be happening is whenever I'm trying to change my depth, it's changing my stroke too. So like when I turn it, it just turned clear down to the smallest stroke, and then I could kind of move it around, which kind of sucks. So it's a lot harder to kind of do it on the fly. Okay, so let's start it out on a 3.8. I normally use a 4, so this is about exactly where I'd be normally running it. Okay, we'll start out at the very bottom. Awesome, so made some really, really nice lines. First starting out, you know, you could definitely tell that this is a quality tattoo machine. Awesome, and what I'm running my voltage at right now is at an 8.5, if anyone was wondering what I'm running it on. All right, we're gonna test out this long line. Yeah, so this machine is running perfectly. You know, it is a professional tattoo machine. One thing you want to think about is, you know, the other ones were priced, you know, fairly cheap. This one is going for about $600, depending on where you get it from. So that's one thing you want to think about, that it is a little bit more expensive as well. But it is good to see that, you know, when you do pay more money, you do get a better product. You know, sometimes you'll pay more money and then it still sucks. This one is actually working really, really well. I'm not having any issues at all. And if you know what you're doing, you could just pretty much pick this one right out of the box and tattoo with it, setting it up exactly how you want it because of the different strokes. So you can pretty much set this up for anything. Which we're going to try out the different strokes here in a second after I get done with this big liner. Yeah, so what comes with the big liner, this is Brandon approved. We're going to fast forward the thick lines and then we'll get on to changing up the strokes to do some smaller lines. Alright, now that we have our thick outline done, I'm going to switch out to my 7-round liner and clean it off really good, and we'll try out on a different stroke. Yeah, as you can see, the lines went in really good for an 11-round liner. Didn't have any issues at all. It went in perfectly, exactly how it should. Okay, so I turned off my machine before putting the cartridge in. That's something I have to say out loud because I will forget to do that because I don't do that with my Cheyenne. So you'll probably hear me say that a few times. All right, so we're going to turn the stroke down to, let's go with a 3.4. So this is the one I would recommend if you are first starting out that you should be using, as a 3.4. So let's see how it works. We're going to go in and do all the little detailed lines with it. Yeah, the only thing I would say that I don't really like so far, besides obviously the disposable grips, would be how hard it is to change the needle depth whenever you are using the machine and have it wrapped up, just because it just keeps changing the stroke whenever you're trying to change that. So that could be a little bit annoying when you're using it, but that's not something detrimental that you just shouldn't get the machine because of that. Yeah, so it's running really smoothly with this really small liner, which is awesome. I'm not having any issues with it either, so this is a great lining machine. You know, it has the push needed to, you know, be able to push big liners, and you can turn the stroke down and push some small lines as well. So it did great with lining. I definitely recommend this machine 100% if you are working on fake skins. I wish that I could say that this is a machine for, you know, everyone tattooing on human beings, but if you don't have an autoclave, which, you know, I'd say that really 80% of the shops out there nowadays just do full disposable. They don't even want to worry about an autoclave, so it's going to be really hard to try to find a shop that still does that. But that could just be me and just the shops that I know, and the people I talk to could just be like me, and that's how they do it. So don't quote me on that. Okay, so now with the shading, we're going to do some black and gray shading first. So let's turn it down to the lowest it'll go, which is a 2.5. So whenever you are using a really small stroke, you want to make sure that whenever it is turned off, that none of the needles are sticking out. So you can see that my needles are not protruding out right there, but when I turn it on, it does come out. So that is exactly how I want it set up. And you'll have to change that depending on the strokes that you're doing. All right, we'll go in here and do some very light shading. Yeah, so this is doing really great for shading. The one thing I like about the machine a ton is that you can change the stroke. That's not a luxury I have with my Cheyenne Solnova Unlimited. Obviously this one you do have to have an RCA cord. My Cheyenne you do not, it runs on batteries, but honestly the RCA cord doesn't really bother me too much. I feel like, yes, it is easy, but it's not really detrimental. I feel like a lot of new artists just want that ability of being wireless, but don't let that hold you back from, you know, trying out a machine, because it really isn't that big of a deal. You could learn to use a cord, just make sure you're wrapping it up. And yeah, I still use my Inject all the time that uses an RCA cord. So I say in the handle will do more of a traditional shading, so I'll kick it up to, turn it off. Let's go up to 3.8, which is about a 4-stroke. So this is kind of how I do my traditional shading. I like that you have a really big stroke. That's not for everyone, so, you know, test out and use what works for you, but it works really great for me being able to do like transitions with pepper shading. Cool, so it's doing great. Just like everything else, I'm able to make transitions. You can see the little dots because of my hand speed, and the machine is keeping up with me. So yeah, it will do, you know, traditional style tattoos, no issue. Yeah, so I love this machine. I really hope that they do something about these disposable grips. It's just really upsetting that they made such a good machine, put all this time into, you know, making it correctly, and then just falling short on the disposable grips. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. Alrighty, let's clean it up really good and check out that shading. Awesome, so that is exactly how I wanted it to turn out, so it did a great job. Alright, so now we're going to get into color. So I'm going to stick with this 3.8 stroke because I like a longer stroke whenever I am doing my color, just because it hits a little bit harder and I don't have to go into the skin multiple times. The way I tattoo, I like my color to be in there, you know, right away, so I don't have to go back, which can cause issues with healing. I always put down Vaseline because color can be messy. We'll start out with red. I'm not going to put a ton of red, just in some areas to have some dark so it's not just solid pink. So just going through here doing some red, and it's working great. It's pushing it in there without me having to go over it multiple times and, you know, overworking the fake skin. I also just now realized that I'm going to have to pour some green ink. I didn't even think about the leaves. This will be the point of the tattoo that, you know, I take a break and pour myself some green ink because I completely forgot. Alright, let's get on to the pink. And I'm going to be running the exact same way for the pink as well. Yeah, pink's a light color, so it can be a little bit tricky whenever you are putting it in there. But you know, I'm not fighting with it at all, it's just going in perfectly. Yeah, I tattoo a lot of colors, so, you know, one thing I really look at whenever I am, you know, working with a tattoo machine is, you know, if it has the to be able to put it in there, and, you know, I don't have to go over it multiple times, because you could really mess someone up by doing that, which this machine is doing a great job. So, you know, if I was to, you know, use this on a human being, I would have no issue. I'd be able to tattoo exactly how I normally do with my Injecta, with my Cheyenne Soul Nova. Yeah, and really wouldn't have to change really anything I do to be able to tattoo the exact same way. So that's a great thing to know. So if you do have this machine, if you are using it right now, you know, if you do have an autoclave, or if you're only working on fake skin, you know, you did pick the right one for sure. Because no matter what, no matter how you wrap this machine up, there is still going to be areas to where, you know, blood, plasma, ink are going to get into the machine, which causes problems with bloodborne pathogens. So yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception in the tattooer world right now, is with like pen style machines and people getting away with just wrapping them and not having to autoclave it. But just know that that is not the case. That's not sterile. Yeah, and if you're like in place with the health department, you're going to get into issues with that for sure. Okay, let's add some green to it. You can see when I'm tattooing with this, you know, I did put pink in there, and I'm wiping away from the pink. I'm not wiping towards it because it'll muddy up the pink, because the green is a darker color. So that's one thing you want to kind of pay attention to when you are tattooing, is you always want to do the darkest colors first and the lightest colors last. But if you do come to a situation where you need to do it this way, just wipe away from it and you will be fine. But do your best just to not do dark colors with light colors around. Alright, and our last step is going to be the yellow. Switch back to our mag for this. I'm just going to do the middles of the flowers yellow, right like this. You know, especially with yellow, you don't want to be in one area too long. You know, I see people really overworking the skin with their yellow, which can cause issues with healing. Because what happens on actual human skin is when you go over it and wipe it away, the blood kind of mixes in with the ink, so you can't really tell that there's any ink there. So you go over it, you know, multiple times, keep trying to go over it to see it, and it never happens, and then you get to a point where it's just really overworked and oversaturated to the point that it's going to fall out completely and, you know, obviously cause complications with healing. So here is the final design. We'll clean it up really good and check out how it turned out. But as the review, so is the Axys Valhalla worth it? As a standpoint from a machine, it is a very professional, high quality machine that works really, really well when it comes to tattooing. With the disposable grips, before we get off here, I'm going to put one of those on and see how it works with the machine. I didn't want to do it with like wrapping it up and everything. I just want to see and be able to see kind of what it's doing and kind of how it fits and everything. So I want to do that after we get this cleaned up. Here it is. It made a perfect tattoo. I would have no issue putting this on human skin with this machine. So it did a great job. So I highly recommend it if you are just tattooing fake skins, or even if you have an autoclave, by all means get this machine, but make sure you are running these grips through the autoclave. Awesome, so let me get this out of the way and we'll get back on here and see how it looks with the disposable grip. Okay, we're back and here's the machine. Obviously, here's the disposable grip. And usually sometimes, you know, with pen style machines, they do get a little hot. This one didn't get hot. You know, I've been tattooing that for about 45 minutes and no issues. So let's try the fit on this. So yeah, it goes on, and it goes on really, really tight. And you can actually feel this kind of moving when you put it on. So it's a little bit small. It's really hard to kind of like put on. Let's just check the fitting of a cartridge. So, you know, the cartridge did go on okay. You know, you could change the depth fairly easy. See, I guess these are okay if you're just wanting to like focus on holding it. Yeah, I don't know. These really aren't worth it. Just wrap up your machine, use the actual grip that comes with it, because you obviously can't tattoo with these. They're not sterile. That's why I'm not wearing gloves, because they're pretty much pointless. I can't use them for anything other than just sitting around. I guess I could tattoo fake skins with them, but what's the point when I could just wrap up the actual one that came with it? So Axys Valhalla, totally worth it. I love the machine. One thing that they could definitely improve on this machine would be the disposable grips. If you get those figured out, I'll be using your machine every single day when it comes to actually tattooing on clients, but for right now, I cannot. I hope this was able to help you guys out, and like and subscribe down below if you want more content like this, and also if you have any reviews you'd like me to do, leave a comment down below as well. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. If you have found this video helpful and you would like to be mentored by artists like me and other mentors from Tattooing 101, I left a link underneath this video for you. Inside our Artist Accelerator program, we break down step by step how to tattoo from start to finish, even if you are just a beginner. So if you're tired of trying to figure out everything on your own and want to skip years of trial and error to become a professional tattoo artist, I recommend you check it out.